Hello, people, and welcome to another Internet MBA video. My name is Tom. Let me bring my face up right here. And yeah, we're doing some more videos. We have the team who are now responsible for producing one video on their topic of expertise, only below 5 minutes in the group / on the channel each day per week, so everyone have an assigned day. And so I'm on Monday, and today I'm going to be outlining how I managed to get such a fantastic team. So we have now a team of 4 people that work for the Internet MBA group, and I'm going to outline in the next 5 to 7 minutes, like the full process that I used to do that. I think I've kind of got pretty good at hiring now. I've done it in large corporations, I've done it for like mid-sized startups, and I've done it for my own like small companies. And a lot of people that I've spoken to, even founders of startups that have raised millions of pounds, were like, how did you hire those people? How did you get people so engaged? And so I'm going to share that process. I probably come from a collection of like 4 or 5 hiring books that I've read, plus like learning a lot about it from the corporate world. So you can see this document, it's linked on this video. There's 10 steps that we're going to go through. There's some stuff that I've linked and some stuff that I'll share on the screen, but I'll quickly run through it now, and hopefully it's useful. If you have any questions, you can ping them in the comments below the video, and hopefully by the end you'll have a bit more clarity on how to hire well and how to do it in a time-effective manner. And just one more thing before we jump in. I think that hiring is one of the most important skills for any entrepreneur, right? Because if you think about the definition of an entrepreneur, they're kind of not sat within the system that they're building, they're supposedly sat outside of the system. And though these systems, some business systems now can be completely automated, most of them cannot. And therefore you are going to need some kind of manual help from a person for your business system. And so the way you do that effectively is to hire. And so if you are interested, or you do want to become an entrepreneur, or you are an entrepreneur, then this is going to be like really important, right? Because how else are you going to be able to sell your dream or your vision to the people that you need to manage your business system? So let's get started. Step 1, think about who and what you need. Yeah, I think this is super important. Before you invest time in the process, it's really important to understand who, or like what is the type of person that you need in your organization, and what is the thing that you want them to do. So for me, the way I thought about this is that we have 3 e-commerce brands, and I was spending all of my time really in the brands, where I wanted to become like more of an entrepreneur and do more on the buying the brands, or managing the deals, or working on exciting projects. And so obviously I needed to run these brands. I needed someone who could find customers. I needed someone who could do admin and customer support. And then I needed someone who could like manage the operations and strategy. I initially actually thought that the growth and the operations role would be the same. But then as we moved through the process, I actually found 2 people who had strengths in different areas. And so we ended up hiring both. So first step is like think about who and what you really need. I think the who part is quite important, because what's the type of person that A, you want to work with, and B, is going to be effective at the role that you're designing. And we'll talk more about how I did that with the roles that we filled. The next thing you will want to do that, to really clarify those thoughts in your mind, you need to write a job mission, I call it. I don't call it a job description, I call it a job mission. And this is because you're trying to engage, you're trying to excite or ignite something within a person, so they're going to be like super excited above than just getting paid to come and work in your organization. So let's have a quick look here. So there's 2, as I mentioned, we were hiring for 2 roles. For recently, the 2 job descriptions are here, they're linked, anybody can look at them. So let's have a look how I am like trying to polarize and trying to talk more about the mission. I do it most effectively here. When I'm really talking about who this person is. So you can see I've really thought about it. And a lot of the things I really resonate with. And so if the person who sees this job description resonates with these things, then it probably makes sense that they're going to be a good fit for the organization and that we're going to get on. I make sure I highlight this. I think it's quite important, right? If you're trying to incentivize someone to come and do something for you, you have to explain to them exactly like what you're going to give them. And so I think I did quite a good job of polarizing here. Like I guess not many actual companies or organizations would like swear in the job description, which might not be right for you or for your organization, but it was kind of right for me because I don't really care about that. Like I just care about results. I care that people are engaged and passionate. We're not really politically correct, or we don't want to be, and that's why I would include that in there. The job description for the assistant was kind of similar, I guess, a bit shorter, but slightly different. What's in it for you and who are you? So that's the first thing you need to do, because that will really clarify in your mind exactly what you want. And we're like, once you get your thoughts on paper, it'll be much clearer for you. And you can send that to people to review, and you can revise it as necessary. So once you have that and you really understand who you want, you can then move on to designing the process. Now we had for the operator role 6 stages, which I'll quickly move through. The first was a CV screen and 1 question. This was just to get people's interest. I don't place that much value on a CV screen, but I think it is important just so you understand someone's background, whether they have been to uni or not that is important. Just to give people something to trip up on. If somebody's not really engaged or doesn't really want the role, there might be spelling mistakes in the CV, or they might forget to answer the question. So in our case, the question was, what's the most outrageous thing you've ever done? And again, it's kind of different. A big corporation is not going to ask that. I didn't place too much weight on that question. It was more just to see how they would react. Just to see also if I would like spending time with that person as well. Because I kind of like people to do outrageous things. So once I did that, then I would, only a 10-minute initial interview. I think you can make a big, just by having someone on a video call, you can almost straight away you can understand if they're right for the role or not. And so the idea here is that you're trying to minimize the amount of time you spend on someone who is not right. And so you can, with step 1 and 2, you can largely understand whether they're right or not, and you can terminate the process for people that you don't think are right. And so the quickest and fastest way to do that is create a Calendly invite for a 10-minute call, and then anybody who passes the CV screen and 1 question, you just ping them that link, ask them to book it in, jump on, it's just 10 minutes, and then after that you probably have a relatively good idea if they're right or not. After that, we'd have a skill/experience interview. So the goal of that interview is to really understand whether they have whether they have the abilities to complete the role. Now, I think that actually people don't necessarily need the experience anymore, because the skills, this technological environment we live in is changing so fast. Actually, it doesn't matter too much if they've done Facebook Messenger ads before, but if they show that ability to learn fast or show an interest, then they're probably going to be okay. Then the final interview, which is focused more on motivation and why, like what this person's vision is for the future, what they're trying to achieve, and whether that aligns with the organization's vision. For me, the best way to incentivize people is to understand where someone wants to go, and then if that place can be facilitated by the journey of your organization, then these things are going to converge. And so that person can ultimately gain what they're trying to achieve by working with your organization. I think that no one really is going to, or people care more about themselves, right? And so why would someone care more about your organization? They wouldn't. So the best way to do this is to show that person how you can take them to where they want to go with your organization. I think that's a really fundamental point. And that's what we really cover in the final interview, is where do you want to go? Let me explain the vision for the organization, and let's see if they converge, and let's see if there's a common place where we can both get to in the future. Next is the talk or the threat of the reference check. So it's basically, this comes from a book called Top Grading. You actually bring this up in the skill/experience interview, where at the end you say, if I spoke with your last manager, what would they say your biggest weakness was, for example? And then they'd explain and they'd explain the weakness, and then you'd be like, okay, cool, is it okay if you connect me with that manager for a short reference? And anybody who's an A player would say yes. And so, but you actually have to go through with it. So all the people that got to the final stages, I did a reference check on. It was simply a 5-minute call with someone from their past that they worked with or that they know. So it's super important to do that. and you can use that to test something that you're maybe not sure about on that person, or just to get a general reference. And the final point, and I don't think many people do this, is I think it's super important you never know how well you work together with a person until you actually work together with a person. So we actually had 4 people that got to the final stage for the operator role, and I paid each of them, it wasn't a massive amount, to do a 4 to 6 hour project. And so I can actually see what it's like to work with this person. I see what their deliverables are like, I see how engaged they are, and so I think that's super important. And if it is going to be slightly longer, then I would recommend you pay for it as well. And then that really is going to give you like a really, really good idea. If you go through a process like that, you're going to have a very, very good idea as to whether this person would be good to work with you and your organization. So that's the whole process. Let's quickly jump back in to see how you actually go about getting applicants. The next stage is to distribute everywhere. So I didn't, for both those job roles, I distributed them on free remote job boards, which is quite good. Both roles were remote, so there's quite a few free remote job boards. AngelList, my own personal, so in this group and on the email list, I sent out to them. And also on LinkedIn, I actually paid LinkedIn, I think $40, and got 10 or so good applicants. So it's basically just hustle, like put those job descriptions absolutely everywhere you can. Send them to your friends, just try and maximize the amount of applications you get back, because it's like maximizing the net that you have that you're going to funnel people through. Then track everything. You basically need one spreadsheet where whenever you get someone who passes the first stage, you'll put them to that spreadsheet and you can write your comments for every stage. I do have a spreadsheet here. I've removed the names of the people, so you can't see them. The names are in these columns, but you can see that I have, for each stage of that process, I've written notes. And one thing I actually haven't brought up here is personality testing. So I would also recommend, I'm going to add this into this process, is at some point, normally around either before or after the skills interview, I would get people to do the PASE Tai Lopez test and Myers-Briggs. And so this just tells you specific things about a person's personality. And so if you have done these tests and you know that you're, say, in Tai Lopez's test, maybe you're an action person, and you think that for this role, you actually need more of a practical person. So action person is someone who just focuses on getting stuff done. Practical is more like planning and a little more methodological. Therefore, you can prioritize someone who has a different skill set to you if that's what you want. But it's very important to understand your strengths and then other people's strengths as well. So I'd add that in. Track everything. So you have your spreadsheet, you write your comments against each person for every stage, and you keep them in green if they're all good, or if you're like not sure about them, you put them in orange, and if you've terminated that part of the process for them, you put them in red. So just track everything through that process. Use Calendly to ping out links, so you have a link for each of those 3 different types of interviews. So you can very quickly ping out the links to get people to book in the calls, so you don't have all the calendar rubbish, calendar bullshit. Understand, yeah, like it's definitely a 2-way process. Obviously, the candidate is trying to show you how good they are for your organization, but it's also you also have to sell, because you want to get the best candidates, and the best candidates will need to be not sold, but you need to incentivize them effectively. And so you have to explain to them, it's basically what I was saying, you have to explain to them where your journey is, where your organization is going, and then show them that it's going to intersect with where they plan to be as well. And so the organization can win and they can win if you collaborate. That's like probably the biggest thing to get out of this, is to paint or to understand where that person wants to go and understand where your organization wants to go and see if they converge. And if they do, make that very obvious to the person. So understand you're selling as much as they're selling them. Throw out the reference check, project contracting. So I say you set someone a project to do, so we pay them X amount for 4 to 6 hours, or you could work, say, for 2 weeks together. That could also be fine as well. And so once you do that, you'll have the spreadsheet, you'll have all of the notes running through for each person, and then you can finally make that decision. And then finally, close the deal. Yeah, so here you essentially have to do exactly what I explained there. You explain that your organization is going somewhere, and it's on the same trajectory of where you want to go, we should work together, write a contract, and close the deal. So that is my theory. That is my hiring process that worked very effectively for us, I would say. And if you follow that, it's going to be quite likely that you are going to essentially end up hiring A players. I hope that helps. Any questions, ping them in the comments and I'll jump in and answer them. Let's see, maybe we have questions. No, there we go. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope that helps anybody who is in the process or potentially going to hire people in the future.